perish is all bad, which suggests that it didn't just die, it was exterminated. And an exterminator has to come in from the side of the house, bring stuff into the house in order to kill those mice. That's what discouragement and pain and suffering does. It comes into your house, and I'm sorry I need to say it with Jeremiah and make it personal. It will come into my house and will try to kill my hope in the Lord. My goal is from seeing to saying, and then from saying to praying. Somebody shout, he was praying. Yes, that's the key to this passage. It's prayer. And that's the key for how you made it last year, how you made it this year, and how you're going to make it in the future. Jeremiah says, in spite of the fact that I don't have any more peace, and in spite of the fact that I have forgotten what happiness is, in spite of the fact that my strength is gone, and in spite of the fact that I have no more hope in the Lord, I did something that didn't make sense given the weight of my circumstances. He says, I prayed. Anybody here know that prayer works? Oh, don't get quiet on me now. Prayer, that deeply rooted communion between the God who hears and the acts and the creation who talks and the petition. Somebody shout, prayer works. Jeremiah says, when I had my talk with God, I asked him to do just two things. I asked God to remember me and think about me. How poignant it is to ask God to remember you. But Jeremiah says, not just my heart and my mind. Lord, remember my suffering, my misery, and my sorrow. And oftentimes we want to brag to God about our goodness, works, and deeds. But Jeremiah says, I need you to remember or pay attention to those things that are causing my personal pain and are encouraging me to give up and give out. Jeremiah says, Lord, remember me and my troubles or problems. And then he says, Lord, and just keep me on your mind. I mean, is there anybody here that just want the Lord to keep you on your mind? You know that song says, Lord, whatever you're doing in this season, don't do it without me. Think of me, Lord. I know you got many children, but Lord, just keep me on your mind. Jeremiah went from seeing to saying, and then from saying to praying, and then now he goes from praying to praising. Jeremiah begins, I have to get on out of here. Jeremiah begins to praise. Jeremiah realizes that it would be easy to stop right here and throw a pity party. But however, after he prays, he apparently has an encounter with God, a meeting of the minds, if you will. And if you're having trouble deciding what you should do, you need to have a little talk with the Lord. Throughout this year, there were times that my mind was confused, my mind was troubled, and my mind was spinning. But every time I talked with God, he gave me what the New Testament calls a sound mind. He gives me clarity. And somebody here is worried about next year. God will give you clarity. Jeremiah says that when I talk to God and God talked to me, guess what? I found out something. It's not as bad as it could have been. I could have been consumed. I could have been utterly destroyed. I could have been wiped out by the devil. I could have been sinking to rise no more. Jeremiah says, I'm going to come out of this year with three statements of faith. Number one, the Lord's love never ends. Number two, the Lord's mercies never stop. And then number three, great is thy faithfulness. Oh, y'all didn't catch that. I said number one, the Lord's love never fades. Number two, the Lord's mercies never stop. And then number three, great is thy faithfulness. I don't know what catchphrase you're going to speak over your life these last 2 months of the year. But when I look back, I never would have made it. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, I never would have made it. If his love had ran out, I never would have made it. If his mercies were depleted, I never would have made it. If God was not faithful or loyal to them. Is there anybody glad tonight? I'm glad. I'm only here because his love never ends.